Good afternoon, adjudicator and opposition. As the Prime Minister, I firmly believe that donating organs should be mandatory because it can save countless lives and provide a sense of making a lasting contribution to society. Before I provide my points, I would like to give a model. After death, you will be examined for healthy organs in your post-mortem/autopsy. Your direct family members will then select which organ/organs to donate based on the research done by a team of professionals and the suitability of each organ. If there is no family that can be contacted, all organs will be donated. If there are no healthy organs, we won't take any. Now onto my points. My first point is that it resolves a shortage in organ donors. The sad reality is that thousands of people die every year due to a lack of organ transplants. Often, when relatives are asked whether or not they want the person's organs to be donated, they are too emotional to contemplate this seriously, so simply refuse for no reason. For example, a person got into a road accident and is brain dead, so has no chance of recovery. Many of his organs are healthy and can be transplanted, but this person never thought about organ donation, so never opted into it. The doctor asked the family, but the closest relation was in no condition to even think about anyone else while contemplating living the rest of her life without the person she cared the most about. She also had some misconceptions about organ donation that could easily be cleared if she had the ability to listen rationally. But nobody in her situation could be expected to be rational in a situation like this. So she refused, and it's not her fault that 5 other people died waiting for organs to become available, as his heart, lungs, kidney, and liver could have saved one life each. Some people have to wait for years in order to get an organ transplant and often die waiting because nobody is willing to make a simple sacrifice and donate some organs after their death in which they can't even feel pain or like the sense of personal sacrifice. My second point is that it feels like you're making a contribution to society. People may not want to donate their organs before because people may not want to donate their organs before we propose this. However, because they don't know much about the process and like what will happen to the organs that they're donating. However, since it's mandatory, people are going to want to educate themselves about it and like understand what it really means to donate your organs. This will cause them to understand that it's not a terrible thing to give your organs after you're dead and you literally can't feel anything. And it'll feel like one final contribution to society and science that you can make before you die by saving lives that you may not have been able to save when you were alive. Our Deputy Prime Minister will summarize and Whip will summarize and rebut.
The organ shortage has to be immediately addressed as there are people dying each year from lack of donors. However, is it a justifiable trade-off for the expense of liberty and human rights? Is having excess organ donations really practical? Especially with the depleting quality of transplants and attention from overwhelming amounts of donations, the processing will require immediate attention, yet receive a lack of qualified and a shortage of doctors. The organs may have an immense need for care and attention, while in the practical side, there will be a lack of doctors and supervisors that will cause side effects and ripple effects that will cause even more devastation to the recipients who are receiving the organ donations. With the prior permission of the chair, good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I, as the leader of the opposition, would like to justify side and bring us to victory, meaning through the course of 3 main arguments: violation of personal autonomy, practical challenges, and religious and cultural beliefs. For the clarity of the speech, we wish to define some of the keywords as the motion follows. Organ donations happen after death, and mandatory means the citizens have to do it no matter what they believe or offer. The main stakeholders of this issue are everyone in the world who gets impacted after they die, and the professional doctors who have to perform these organ removal processes, and etc. Now, before the opposition goes into further debate, they have the prerequisite burden to prove that they will have enough to overcome the practical challenges of implementing this policy, such as the lack of professional doctors, infrastructure to support the transport of organs, even in the underdeveloped countries, and etc. Our core principle and value is that it directly violates personal autonomy of people. Humans have the right to choose over themselves, and nothing should ever coerce them to take it away, no matter if they're alive or dead. Meta rights are something that should be natural, not forcing, unlike what the policy states. Now, to clarify the doubts raised by the previous speaker, I'd like to refute what she has claimed. The previous speaker tried to persuade you by saying that this policy addresses the organ shortages happening in the world and could save countless lives. Nevertheless, this is erroneous due to the fact that as the organ access will increase, there will be a lack of proper care and proper attention that is needed for these organs to stay healthy until it is donated. Ladies and gentlemen, organ donations are something we can't uphold forever. It needs to happen immediately after death, and or else there will be side effects and health issues for the people who are receiving it. Also, they have said that they will feel a contribution to society. However, this motion strictly states that it's mandatory, and we already allow them in the status quo. They have meta rights to give organ donations. However, we strongly emphasize that it shouldn't be something that we force, because it goes against what they are saying, that they will feel a contribution to the society. However, what really gives you a sense of pride to contribute to society is that you choose to do it by yourself, not because the society and the policy is forcing you to. Now, moving on to my analysis, mandatory organ donations are a serious violation of personal freedom and autonomy. To be specific, people should have the choice to choose whatever they want to do with their own body. Ladies and gentlemen, by destroying the very foundation of autonomy and freedom, you're undermining human dignity, basic inherent rights, and the very essence of John Locke's three natural human rights to life, liberty, and property. This policy conflicts with the idea of liberty, the freedom to choose whatever they want as long as it doesn't interfere with the first value of life. Working under the assumption that organ donations happen after death, it is still a severe violation, distorting the body of someone who has passed away without their proper consent. This isn't something that should stop this ethical societal value. There must be respect in order for the societies to stay away from chaos and destruction, and from undermining the very essence of why we are here. My second argument is that there will be practical challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, unlike a perfect world where everything would be possible, we have to address a reality where there's a lack of infrastructure, shortage of professionals to guarantee a safe organ transplants, and proper jobs to monitor every single death that happens each year and monitor if their organ is healthy or not. Not all countries are developed, and issues such as brain drain will inevitably happen, putting the recipients in vulnerable and exploitable state. Also, there are other issues regarding this, such as the excess of organs and inefficient organ transportation. Millions of people would die and cause excessive amounts of organs to be donated. Furthermore, storing these organs will become a huge problem, as there will be millions dead each year. How will you keep these organs in a good state and a healthy state and monitor every single thing that cannot happen and make sure to avoid every single death? Therefore, the motion must stand.
Wouldn't instate a policy that makes organ donation upon death mandatory. As the proposition, we view the lives of countless minorities that have a severe illness and require an organ donor or transplant as important. We believe that this policy allows for the lives of countless individuals to be saved. Before I continue, I would like to provide some rebuttal. The opposition has claimed that there are a lack of professionals and doctors. We believe that the argument of practicality is not the major concern within this debate. This debate revolves around the benefits and harms of enforcing organ donations upon death, not whether it is practical or not. Under this topic, we assume that we have the resources to make this happen, and we are simply debating whether this happening would do more good than harm. They have also tried to say that we are restricting individuals' autonomy by forcing them to donate their organs after death. We believe that by withholding an individual's organs even after death, you are practically causing and supporting the death of individuals with terminal illnesses that require these organs. We believe that the metric of autonomy is actually outweighed in this situation. I will now proceed to elaborate on my team's case. Organ donors are especially sus in the status quo due to there being limited individuals willing to make the sacrifice whilst they are living, and the fact that not all organs donated are suitable to be used in transplants. Very specific requirements must be met, and the health conditions of the organs must be maintained to a strict standard. However, as the info slide is mentioned, these donations will be upon death, meaning that there is no life risk taken by the individual when they agree to becoming a donor. Human life is undoubtedly extremely valuable, and the lives of minorities with a terminal organ-affecting illness that was very likely due to factors beyond their control are arguably more so, due to the metric of vulnerability. On our side of the house, we are helping these vulnerable stakeholders, and through these mandatory organ donors, are giving them an opportunity to live their life healthily, without their daily events being tainted by illnesses. We are not entirely restricting other individuals' autonomy with what to do with their organs. It is for a greater cause that we ask for at least one donation of a healthy, suitable, functioning organ. This is morally right. The idea that if you can give someone to something for the greater good without experiencing a personal loss, that you are making a positive contribution that could change an entire individual's life. For the reasons stated above, I have never been prouder to stand on side
People
proposition.
actually affected and being forced to donate parts of their bodies, dead or alive, is a violation of a person's wishes, beliefs, and their family's wants. Not only would this policy lead to an excess of organs that we don't even need, but in doing so, it would unproportionately affect communities that deserve the freedom to choose what happens to their bodies after they die in a democratic society. So with that note on framing, allow me to address the previous speaker's points and rebuild our stance. So firstly, they talked about that autonomy, but the point about autonomy is flawed because we still, in our world, we still allow people to donate their organs dead or alive. We even allow them to donate it to scientists to actually study about the human body and make potential medical advances. We have this policy, and we're not allowing them to actually donate if they want to, and they would donate if they want to, even if they're dead. So that this disproves their content about having to face no consequences after they're dead because it says so in the info slide. Second point they made was that they should have the moral obligation to at least do one donation of their body parts after they die. But this is flawed because of religion, which is going to be my argument later on. So with that, so this successfully disproves their arguments. So moving on to my extension point, my extension point is about religious beliefs. So judge in some of the main beliefs around the world, which is Judaism, such as Judaism, is Islamic, and Hinduism. It's a common belief that their bodies must be intact when buried. So the two more extreme cases in these three religions are Islamic and Hinduism, where interfering with the body is considered interfering with God's will, and that bodies must be whole for to be able to be reincarnated in the afterlife. So judge, this policy goes beyond the basic rights that people have towards their autonomy, but it unproportionately affects the thousands of people that are actually part of these religions. So judge, foregoing the actual practicality of this matter, so it intentionally rejects the people from our society for being part of their religions, which is essentially punishing them to have beliefs. Judge, this is no different from what is called authoritarian or dictatorship rule, and we believe that one of our main stakeholders are the religious people who will be affected if this policy was actually enacted. This is why proposition has burden to prove that their policy would be either personalized for every single person, which is just impractical, or that they would give actual compensation towards their families, also impractical because of the huge amount of organs, the excess organs that we need, which goes against their whole point about their policy in the first place, or justify why we should allow some beliefs and not allow others. So to summarize, my LO talked about freedom and practicality, and I have added the point about religious beliefs. So with these points, I'm proud.
The negative team has stated that people should have the right to decide what happens to their bodies after they pass. Yes, okay, freedom of choice can be considered, but what about the thousands of people desperately in need of an organ that can save their lives? What about the hundreds of thousands signed up to waiting lists that will never be able to get off the waiting list? Do we really value freedom of choice in this argument when human life is at stake? As a person who has passed away, they would be doing a final act of nobility in donating their organs to the minorities in stake. Therefore, this argument is defeated because of the metric of importance, and considering the minorities who may become the majorities if they aren't attended to fast. The negative team has said that there will be an organ excess, and therefore the quality of the donations will not be good. However, what we don't realize is that our model ensures that in the autopsy, we are checking to make sure that only healthy organs will be donated, and this will be done using only the current practices. You've asked us how it will be kept intact. Well, we ask you, how do you think that the organs donated in this modern world are kept intact? We will stay with the current practices that have worked easily. Millions of people worldwide are affected by the need for a new, healthy organ, and there won't be an excess because this number will only grow with the passing of time.
That point, ma'am.
Yes?
Wouldn't you say that there are billions of people who are actually supporting these three religions?
What was the question in your POI? Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so there are three religions that the previous speaker mentioned that requires a body part to be buried in the afterlife. So there are billions of people doing it, which outweighs the millions.
Well, we don't really care about numbers here. Millions and billions, okay, sure. You can say that one is bigger than the other, but still, it's a lot of people. I'm a Hindu myself, and yes, it's bad if your body is harmed when you're dead, but still, you're helping another person. It's not a sin. It's helping another person. There's life in the death. You're helping another person that you don't even know to live. You're helping sick people. If you have healthy organs, it should be mandatory because it's actually a good thing. thing. Like if you're Hindu, if you're Jewish, if you anything, it's still a good thing. You're not hurting yourself because you're dead. You're helping other people. Anyway, back to my points. While you myself not exist in reality, you're giving life to other people that do not get to experience it. And what about the people in these restricted religions that desperately need an organ themselves? There's no denying that there will be many. Religion shouldn't have to be completely thrown aside just because you're giving life to another. You're helping that, and that is something you can't be denied. The negative team that has stated that the religions of Judaism, Islam, and Hinduism believe that it is sin to harm body after death. Yes, I am a Hindu, and yes, this may be true. But what you don't realize is the fact that organs are a necessary thing in the world, and we cannot deny it. It's a good thing, as I have already said in the POI response. It's a good thing to help other people because it's a final act of nobility. You're actually helping other people to live. There's life in the death. Organ donation does not diminish the value of human life. Rather, it actually extends the value by saving the lives of others. It is a profound act of nobility, as we have said, giving a person's death meaning by potentially saving multiple lives. It actually honors the deceased by ensuring their organs are used for the benefit of others. Viewing the act as a form of life-giving, rather than dehumanizing, reframes the entire spectrum of the matter, as which you as the negative team can fail to consider. While personal preferences are important, society must prioritize collective well-being, especially when it comes to saving lives. We need to value the majority of people, and the minority of people who need an organ will become the majority if we don't take action by making sure that people who donate organs are able to give them their organs to people who need the organs. And so while it's not happening in this world, we fail to consider the fact that there are so many people who need organs and there are so little people who donate. And by making it mandatory, we are saving the lives of these people. And with all these reasons, I am very proud of
The government is painting a world where the moment you pass away, decisions about your body is no longer ours or our families, but no matter your belief, ethnicity, religion, you're forced to donate your organs and lack the ability to be buried whole, despite whatever says on your will. If everyone was willing to donate organs, everyone would apply to donate organs. And with this note of framing, I'd like to begin with my speech. Firstly, to address some of their points, they have focused on emphasizing about these healthy organs. However, I do not see how we're going to give healthy organ transplants when firstly there are less developed nations in the world, and which do not have enough and sufficient infrastructure to properly transplant these organs, and it causes a risk to these patients rather than a help to these patients. Secondly, there will be too many organs to process. We do not need millions of organs. We just need a few thousand. That's it. However, there are millions of people who die in the world. So therefore, it increases the risk of this transplant going wrong by a lot, and therefore should be considered. And second, not now. Secondly, they talked about there's a lot of deaths of people because we do not have enough organs. However, firstly, they have to keep saying that the life of these people outweighs the freedom of these people. However, if you think about it, you're basically banning these religions, like I've mentioned, Hinduism, Judaism, and there will be a lot of public backlash because of that. Basically not allowing a religion is basically a dictatorship, everyone. Is it worth to make the entire world a dictatorship just to save 30 lives? And to address this issue about the shortage of organs, we can run programs like education about this organ shortages, and actually convince people to willingly donate in proper infrastructure and in proper equipment to make these to reduce the risk of this organ transplant going wrong. Therefore, their point about the 30 deaths of people do not count. They have also talked about that these people would feel proud because of the contribution to society. However, this is not true, because would you be feeling proud? The government violated your religion and your beliefs just to potentially and having a very low chance of saving a life, I feel like nobody would feel proud if the government just decides to violate your own ethnicities, religion, and belief. Therefore, this point must not stand. We have given you a mechanism of just promoting this education to solve these organ shortages. It is and their mechanism. We have shown you how there will be a similar death rate, or if not a higher death rate, because of organ shortages, because of the risk it poses by the having not enough infrastructure to transport these organs and having an excess of organs to process, and so therefore the case of the government does not stand. And it is no more than crystal clear outside our side should win.
The heart
Thank
of today's
you.
debate was whether we prioritize freedom or saving a somewhat amount of lives. And from the start, we as the opposition have stood firmly for a side that makes sure that everyone has the right to choose what happens to their bodies after death. So we have emphasized that even on a practical standpoint, that there will be way too many organs and potentially limit the people from selling organs out of desperation. And on a principle level, citizens living in a democratic society would have the right of freedom infringed, especially towards the religious groups. So moving on to the burden of proof, the other team's burden of proof was to prove that the trade-off of freedom in society, where freedom is everything, will be worth saving a few lives. Yet they failed to prove that, as we, the opposition, have shown that the amount of people needing an implant and the shortage of doctors will not even be close to the amount of organs produced by everyone that dies. So it will limit the quantity, the quality of the organs, because of the sheer amount of organs needed to being needed to process. And so this is why they failed their main BOP. On the other hand, our BOP was to show how important freedom is in a democratic society, and we successfully proved this by mentioning the point about religious beliefs and the freedom of every citizen. So moving on to the world comparison, the proposition world is a place where there are less to no deaths through organ shortages. However, thousands to millions of organs, both healthy and unhealthy, go unprocessed, and wasted. People of different beliefs feel unrecognized and have to forego their beliefs, and freedom is infringed, a dictatorship. Our world is a world where all communities are treated equally, where all organ donations and encouraging and even donating to scientists to study the human body are still allowed, but not discouraged or encouraged. And we don't have the exclusive benefit of no organ shortages. However, we do have the exclusive benefit of not harming any communities and disproportionately affecting them, and giving people the full autonomy which they deserve. So, George, I would like to end with a quote from Martin Luther King: "Freedom must not be given by the oppressor; it must be demanded from by the oppressed." So, therefore, the motion should.
In this debate, I identified two main clashes, which were whether or not it is morally right to enforce mandatory organ donation, and whether the benefits brought by the motion we are supporting is also present in the opposition side of the House. Under the first theme, which was regarding the morality of enforcing these donations, the opposition has stated that we are directly violating individuals' autonomy and their rights to decide what to do with their bodies. However, what about the right that entitles every individual to good health and the standard necessities to live? Let's take a look at these minorities that had no say in a terminal illness disrupting their entire lives. Autonomy also applies to them, right? If asked, they would wish to live, to recover from an illness that they had no control over being diagnosed with. They also have freedom of choice, and they wish to live. Are we denying their autonomy for the autonomy of individuals who are healthy, lived a well-led life, and are now resting in peace? The autonomy of an individual that does not live and breathe and is somehow valued over the autonomy of an individual whose life was stolen by an illness that they weren't responsible for. The opposition talks about the importance of religions and how they require certain organs to be kept and buried upon death. First of all, this can be resolved in our model. Not all organs have to be donated, simply one healthy, functioning one. Furthermore, this idea of religion does not overrule what I have just stated, in which the opposition values a dead person's autonomy over a living one's. They have also tried to state that there is no practicality in what we are doing. However, we believe that in the typical This House Would motion, it is assumed that the policy has been carried out, and we are simply debating the benefits and harms of it. They have stated that they will still have organ donors on their side of the House. However, we believe on their side, as organ donors are not mandatory, they are keeping severely ill individuals in the status quo, where no one is willing to donate, as they do not wish to take the risk alive. And while dead, the same issues of religion apply. So on their side of the House, they are making no attempt to increase organ donors, unlike on our side. To provide some weighing, we weigh the lives of individuals with severe illness over the lives of individuals that are part of a religion. The minority group here is extremely evident. the ill individuals, and whilst religious groups are also a minority, the opposition has so-called claimed that there are already billions of these individuals in these ethnic groups, meaning that they are no longer a minority. For the reasons that have been given above, this debate is a clear win to side proposition. Thank you.